So this is the SUPboarder review for the RRD AirRace 14x26. This is version 4 of this board. So this is the 4th year this board has been changed and in the RRD collection. So this board is from RRD's Prefo collection, which involves the best materials, the best manufacturing processes, and they definitely are trying to make this board up there so it can compete against those hard race boards and fast touring boards. We really like the RRD promo video they made for this board and the other Air Tourer. The fact that they took this board out straight away in surf conditions sort of shows that they really are proud of what they've done, and we really like the fact that we saw that being used in some surf and paddled in conditions which we know iSUPs aren't really, well, they aren't the best in, but they are really trying to strive for the boards to be able to be used in those conditions and work well. So specifications for the board, well, this is the 14-foot by 26 version. It's 6 inches thick and it's 300 litres. This board weighs 12 kilograms and it retails at €1,249. It comes as standard with a single US center box and a 9-inch swept back fin. This board comes in 5 other sizes, starting off with a 10.6 by 25, which is a junior race board. Many other brands are bringing out sort of a 10.6 size race board. Great for the juniors, lighter, much better suits their body height and weight. Then moving up to our 12.6 class, they do a 26 wide, similar width to this one, and they do a 29 wide. And then obviously the 14-foot, they do in a 26, which is this, and they also do this in a 29 wide as well. So looking at the materials and the construction of this board, well, this is definitely RRD's top end construction. It has internal core of drop stitch wrapped around with PVC, as you would find with their other boards, but then on top of that you have a sandwich Dyneema belt which runs down the length of the bottom of the board to give stiffness, and at the top they've added a new TPB, which is basically a thermoplastic belt which is a little bit wider, and that runs the full length of the top of the board. And you've got then sub-laminated PVC layers around the rail and on the full deck of the board as well. So there's lots of layers of PVCs and different Dyneema belts that they've put into this board to give the board extra stiffness. Finished off with RRD's classic AirRace styling in the black and white graphics. The deck pad is very cool. Really cut in, graphics cut into the deck pad. It's got a really neat standing area here, orange stripes here to put your feet on. It's a simple thing, but it does make a difference when you're moving about the board and coming back up from step back turns. Really like the sort of orange standing area. In the central, you have a central, very comfy neoprene wrapped carry handle, so that's great. And obviously on top of the board here you can easily see the thermoplastic belt going down the center of the board and the extra layers of sub-laminated layers of PVC under the deck pad. So that's what you can see underneath the deck pad, and it's nice to see that sort of thing so you can see what you're buying into and actually what the board is made of. And at the back of the board, a bit more orange styling and a nice tail pad and a kicker at the back. You know I love them. So much easier for when you want to go step back turns. You can feel that sort of pad with the back of your foot and then you know where you are. Great flat and wide deck pad area here at the back for standing and giving you loads of grip. Up at the front you've got your bungee straps, so you could use it as a sort of light tourer as well, or just holding on a small dry bag, flip-flops, an extra drink. Got a towing eye up at the front there just in case you want to tie it up to something, stop it floating away while it's on the water. And at the back of the board you've got your pressure gauge and a leashing point at the back there. Board's recommended pressure is 18 psi, which is the pressure we pumped it up to when we did our deflection test. So remember, our deflection test is where we put on a gap of 1.5 meters apart and we put a weight of 75 kilograms in the center, and then we measure how much the board dropped. So with it pumped up to 18 psi, the board dropped 17 millimeters, which for a board without battens and out extra stiffening rods does stand out quite well, but is not as stiff as some other boards on the market. But we're going to go over that in way more detail in the SUPboarder Pro video of this video, so make sure to check that out if you want to find out more about that. Coming in at 12 kilos, it's a good weight board, definitely stands up to the lighter weight boards, but still is fairly stiff for that weight. Before we go into the overall shape and design of the board, let's have a little look at the bag and the pump you get with your package. The pump you get is the same pump you get with the other top-end RRD boards. Great orange styling, goes with the board, branded RRD all logoed up, tells you how to use it. It's a double action pump, so it pumps on the upstroke and on the downstroke, and it's got a valve to switch it over, so when the pumping gets hard you can just pump on the downstroke. It's got a built-in pressure gauge, and the pump actually goes to 26 psi, so it's a well built pump. It's not massive, so it does take a little bit longer than a big pump, but it pumps the board up absolutely fine, and you're easily going to get 18 psi in it without too much of a trouble. Just like the pump, the bag it comes with is this cool orange colour. It's a fairly lightweight bag in weight, but it's still got the wheels, still got the big chunky zip, fits the board in really easy. It has got a backpack and shoulder straps, and you can tuck the backpack away if you're travelling on an airplane. Hasn't got a super padded back like some other brands have, but it has got the waist strap, and it is a very well made bag. It's fairly comfy, but maybe not as plush as some other boards on the market. So quite a few of you are probably aware that we've done quite a lot of 14 foot by 26 or 27 race boards at the moment, and this one definitely is, I think, one of the coolest looking race boards out there. It's about the same weight as some of the other ones, and again we're going to go over into all of that in a way more detail in the SUPboarder Pro video. But the design of the board, so it's 14 foot long, 26 inches wide. It isn't that wide, but it still offers you a good amount of stability towards the back of the tail, because it's not super pulled in or pintailed as some other brands. So you have a relatively large standing area at the back, then it offers better stability for step back turns and actually just generating speed without the board sinking too much at the tail, because obviously if your board sinks it will cause drag and slow you down. But the real design development this board has got is underneath this board, so we better turn it over. So looking at the bottom of the board, you've got a small bit of nose rocker at the front there. I did find that the nose shape and the rocker line of this board, which is the curve of the board from front to back, was really great in lots of different conditions, punching into small swells, riding downwind in small swells. There was enough rocker for the board to just ride really comfortably in choppy or not so perfect conditions. And actually the nose shape itself, it did punch through the swell, and the waves do come around and wrap off the sides of the board relatively well. Remember, this is an iSUP, so it isn't going to have as much shape obviously as a hard board that won't have the wave piercing nose like on some of those boards. So in the bottom you can clearly see the sandwich Dyneema belt coming down the center, which is going to give the board more stiffness, and then you've got your sub laminate going right, which is the black and white PVC layer you can see here. Then moving back to the board, you can definitely see the standout, the PVC soft edge that they've put around the back of the board. So this is a very soft sort of pliable plastic, but so you can roll it up easy. It doesn't make any difference to rolling the board up, and it actually fits and it looks really good, and it's really well finished on this board. I have seen these about 3 years ago on some brands, and they were looking a little bit sketchy, not so well stuck down. This is really well finished, and actually they've put a PVC sort of capping strip over the rail as the water would enter the front of the rail section there. So it's well, they've thought about it, and it's really well finished, and it's just made well. So that's a really nice feature, and that obviously is there to release the water off the back of the board, to less turbulence, the less drag or the less eddying of effect of the water going off the back. It's not going to swirl back on itself and slow the board down. It's going to release off the tail way faster. Big difference, as we spoke about in other videos, of the hard boards, because they have sharper rails, makes them go faster. That's what this board is trying to achieve, and that's what RRD are really focusing on with this. Also, having this soft square edge at the back does give the board a bit more stability in step back turns. You can definitely feel it has a little bit more give and a bit more response to keeping you stable when you're stepping back on the board. It's definitely something you can notice when you use it compared to other boards of exactly the same width and size. The fin it comes with is a 9-inch plastic swept back fin. The nice thing about having a swept back fin like that is then it doesn't catch on seaweed, and obviously the further back or further canted back the fin is, the more straight line it's going to make you paddle in, so the better tracking it's going to give you. So moving on to a bit what this board's like on the water. Well, obviously, like I just said, the PVC edge here does give you more stability in step back turns, and it definitely releases the water quicker off the tail. You don't feel that there's so much of a drag build up as you can feel on some iSUPs. They feel a bit boggy and they end up sinking and pulling you down. You don't really get that feeling with this board. And also with the edge runner here, that definitely tracks in a better line, because it feels like it sort of plants the tail of the board a little bit more, and combined with the swept back fin, it makes paddling in a straight line and tracking very easy for an iSUP. The AirRace is happy in lots of different conditions. You can downwind on this board, you can punch up into sort of upwind into small chop, and it's really good on flat water, as most iSUPs are, because that's where they are best. So you are going to be able to use this in all-round sort of conditions. Speed-wise, this is really interesting. Now, we tested this with GeoSUP, and the first time I tested it, I got an average speed of 6.39 miles an hour and a top speed of 8.16 miles an hour. And the funny thing about this was the board wasn't as fast as I actually felt it was. So much so that we actually left it another week and did the tests again, a new fresh set of arms. Maybe I was had a cold last week, so we thought maybe it wasn't fair, and the results were pretty much exactly the same. So the second time we tested it was 6.27 miles an hour average speed and a top speed of 8.52, so a little bit quicker. So it is a quick board, not as quick we found compared to other boards on the market, but again, we'll talk about more of that in SUPboarder Pro. But the stability of the board and the tracking of the board made it very, very easy to paddle, and that's definitely to do with that PVC soft edge at the tail there. So who do we think this board's best suited for? Well, weight-wise, you're going to be a light paddler, but up to about 105, maybe 110 kilos. If you're bigger than that, definitely look towards the 29 wide. Yes, it's going to be somebody who wants to go racing or paddle fast, or a fast touring board, because it's quite stable, because of the soft edge runner at the back there. It makes the board easy to paddle, as I've just said. So you could easily adapt this to more of a touring based board. They have got, RRD have got wider touring based boards, but if you want a fast sort of more stripped back touring board, this could be a good board to look at, and definitely the 29 wide might be a really good board to look at if you want to put a bit more weight on it. So it is a good board that's going to enable you to do a lot of things and do some racing as well, and you are going to be able to keep up with the main players on the market and some of those hard boards. Very easy board to paddle that's going to get you into racing and paddling fast. To finish off with pros and cons and value for money, well, pros, I think personally it's the best board shape on the market. As far as outline, it's the combination of not being too thin at the tail, but still giving you enough stability there to do easy step back turns, and actually having the PVC soft edge at the back there really does make a difference to the tracking and the stability when you're back on the tail. The cons, well, I did find the bag is okay, but it's a little bit basic compared to other boards that you guys are going to be comparing to on the market. And the fin itself is a great shaped fin, and actually the weight and the stiffness of the fin is absolutely fine, but sometimes in your mental head, if it was a glass fiber or a carbon fin, you would feel like you're paddling a little bit faster, and some other brands do have better fins for this equivalent package of this board. And value for money, retails at €1,249. It's actually a very good price point, and it's easily competitive to the other big players, which again we're going to talk about in SUPboarder Pro. So it is value for money. This is a top end brand, and it is a very well finished board. So the RRD AirRace is definitely worth a look. Hope you found that SUPboarder review interesting and informative. There's some interesting stuff going on there, and again we're going to go over some more stuff in SUPboarder Pro, really comparing it to other brands on the market, because I know we're going to get countless questions and emails about it anyway. So just check out SUPboarder Pro, and hopefully we'll answer most of those. But so until next time, we'll see you on SUPboarder Pro, YouTube, or just on SUPboarder. Thanks a lot.